Oh, hello.
Hello.
Welcome to our
Open tabs.
Thanks for having me, Woot Toot.
Yes, we've got Bess as our special guest. I should have taken you off stage and then brought you on dramatically.
Oh my god.
Let me-
In the
I'm
live,
gonna-
start it over.
I'm going to do that one. And then we have a special guest.
It's me.
Oh,
I love that.
I don't think, have we had a special guest on before? I don't
No,
think we
you are
have.
Inaugural. Special
I'm the
guest.
first special guest. I'm honored.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. This is Bess, and Bess is my bestie. Bessie,
That's right.
Bessie, bestie. Close.
Coming up on 20 years.
Yes. Oh my God, that is true. Oh wow. Wow. Okay, that was a moment of
when you say it out
existential
loud.
spiral. Like, oh my God, it's true. And I invited her with Jess's blessing because we're going to be talking about a topic that me and Bess talk about a lot, and she has lots of interesting things to say about it, which is mental health, the internet, griftiness that happens. We're gonna start from the psychiatrist, the woman who fell in love with her psychiatrist story that's been blowing up, but then we'll probably just use that as a springboard to talk about like the state of online discourse when it comes to mental health, the good, the bad, the grifty.
Yeah.
There's so much.
So, well, first we'll say hello to people. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Bestie Bess.
Aw.
That is her official, title when you send her mail.
Yes.
My best friend and I just celebrated 15 years of friendship.
Wow, that's impressive.
It's like amazing, and then you're like, oh my god, how has it been that? There's no way I'm.
It's like I'm impressed that I have been alive long enough to have friendships of this longevity.
Yeah. Hey,
Hello.
I know. When I say out loud how long, I'm like, Andrew, we've been together. I'm like, ew. That would mean I'm. Oh no. I'm like, oh no.
And he's like, thanks, honey.
Yeah, I must have been a child bride. How did you? There's no way.
I know.
Not me.
That meme of like all your high school friends having kids, and you're like, teen pregnancies. Like,
Yeah.
what's happening? And then you realize, like, oh no, you're like a
I still
full-ass
do. I'm
woman.
like, oh my god. Oh wait, we are at and have been at an age where this has been a normal thing for a long time. But
I
I'm still
know.
like, what are they gonna do?
Indeed, I am passing the age where children are
Yeah.
like I'm in my final little stretch
We don't
here.
have to say these
Thank
things
God.
out loud. We don't have to say these things out loud.
I mean, I'm not looking forward to menopause, I would say, but I'm not looking forward to it, maybe.
My friend's in perimenopause, and I just am like, oh god,
Yeah.
oh god, why?
My mother told me, 50th high school. Congratulations.
Sorry. Amateur's
Oof.
bed.
My mom was telling me, actually, Bess, I think you were here for that conversation, that she had like virtually no symptoms with her menopause, like at
I
all.
hope that's the same.
And I'm
for you,
like,
man.
please,
Yeah.
I am manifesting that kind of blessing because I've heard
my
it
mom
is
has a lot of hot
rough.
flashes, and I'm like, oh god, I'm already hot.
I
I don't need
know.
hot flashes.
How do you even tell in this southern summer heat?
Like,
Yeah.
is it the climate? Is it me?
Oh no.
Who knows?
Well, we're almost at the 5-minute mark, which means that YouTube probably won't get mad if we start talking about words it doesn't like. So the
Let's tread
things
carefully.
we consider here. Welcome. I'm glad people are catching alive. My mom had flashes
That's
like
how-
crazy. There's that sounds
That's how I have
wonderful.
to keep it ice cold.
The big ass room is very difficult to temperature regulate, so I sit with a fan on me.
Sure.
Yeah, and you have the windows. I wouldn't think about that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Good to know. Good to know. Okay, so our springboard is the woman talking about how she fell in love with her psychiatrist. So I don't think we'll get into like this is not going to be like the Risa Tisa episode where like,
oh god, no.
She was such a great storyteller and like.
Did you watch this girl's all her parts? Because
No.
I could not suffer.
I couldn't.
Mm-mm.
Have you watched it?
I've watched some clips. I've seen a few things. My understanding is she posted like a 20-part initial series, and then she started posting a lot of lives or doing a lot of live streams. And I've caught some clips from the live streams. I've surmised what's gone on. But I'm piecing it together, really.
Yeah. I watched a recap of her initial series of videos because I think I saw part of it. This is what happens to me. I'll always see a video and then sometimes I'll scroll by and then I'll start seeing discourse. And I'm like, dang it. And then I try to go back and find the original video.
And it's like, it's deep in there.
And then realize it was like 17 to 20 parts. I was like, oh no. So I watched a recap and then I've also been seeing like people being like posting screenshots or clips of her lives. And I'm like, this is still going on.
Yeah. I mean, and she, I would say, is not the captivating storyteller that Risa Tisa was in terms of just like, Risa was getting into those details. Like she was in the weeds, but I was sad. I was just like I was hanging on every word. This woman, I saw one video and I was like, the vibe here is a little weird and I'm not totally sure what's going on. And then I started seeing the discourse and I was like, oh, okay.
I think you can feel that.
It kind of starts as like she's coming on to like, I don't know, what do you guys think is her mission statement sort of like to spread awareness maybe of
it does not
transference? I don't know.
It doesn't seem like it's like awareness. I don't know if it feels like either wanting her minutes of fame and or this is, and I am not the professional here, some kind of mental, like a serious mental issue time she's going through and is sharing with the internet.
Yeah. So I'm not totally sure what her motives are, but she wanted to share this story about how she was seeing her psychiatrist who she says she was going to for ADHD medicine, but I have some questions about that. And that she felt this initial connection, and then she felt like there was a dynamic where he was purposefully cultivating those feelings within her for his own enjoyment, and like emotional fulfillment. So, and in her kind of narrative about this, like she was getting more and more into it with him in terms of her feelings, and then he was being like hot, cold, and kind of the end point of the story is supposed to be her getting the courage to like stop seeing him because he's using her.
And my understanding is that kind of the whole internet is like, girl, no. That's not what happened.
TikTok, I think, is pretty much like, girl, no. I think that there are people on Reddit who are like looking this man up, like reporting him to his board. So I do think that there are some people who are more convinced by what she has to say.
That's troublesome. Because she does like, her thing was, I fell in love with my psychiatrist and he knew about it. And he didn't stop seeing me. And like that she had the strength to finally leave when I didn't know that about, like I'm on Reddit, but I haven't seen that on Reddit. And I didn't know people were looking him up. I did hear someone say that she was giving enough information that somebody could figure out who he was.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, because the internet loves to call somebody's job.
People do not understand how to keep fun, juicy drama on the internet where we can all enjoy it instead of calling somebody's real life employer and making it not fun anymore.
Well, it's so I work as a licensed psychologist professionally, and I mean, obviously, I can't assess someone on the internet. This person is not my patient. So I certainly couldn't give any kind of like diagnosis or professional evaluation. I can say that it's a very common experience for a patient to develop feelings for their mental health professional.
Yeah, I was saying that in the chat. Yeah,
it's happened to me before. It's something that you process. You make it clear, like, that will never happen. My ethics code forbids any kind of romantic connection with a patient for at least 2 years after termination. And even then, it's only in the most unusual circumstances. So you explain very clearly that's not something that can happen here.
Yeah.
But we have a close relationship in many ways. We talk about personal things, and it's really normal to feel that kind of a connection.
Yeah.
That's just a super common thing.
That makes sense. But for some reason, I never thought about that. Maybe because I've never felt remotely. I guess maybe I felt it in like a motherly bigger sister way with like a therapist I have. Like, even I still am like, you're my therapist, but like finally having a Black therapist, she's older than I am, but not super old. We still like, it's just more relatable. But I never, but you saying that makes sense, but I never thought like, ooh, like people would like really fall for their mental health professional. But I'm like, oh, I guess so.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like some women I think have literally, I mean, especially because this is a male-female dynamic, like I'm guessing there are some women who've never had a man like actually listen and empathize with their feelings before.
Sure.
And then maybe this is literally the first man who has ever validated that they are somebody who has like legitimate emotions, and like they don't know what to do with that. Because
she does say, she's like, and he was such a good listener, and people were like, the thing she was listening off, they're like, this is part of his, that's what makes him a good like psychiatrist, like such a
probably
good
assessing
listener.
Your symptoms, severity
he would
of
ask
your
me
psychosis.
about how I was doing, if I had harmed myself, but he
said it was a special interest of his, and it's like, well, yeah.
And I'm like, this is nothing. I mean, I would hope that the person, but also it's not therapy, it's a psychiatrist. And I forgot how much time, I think she spelled out how much time, and people calculated like over the amount of time, because it's a psychiatrist, not a therapist. So she spent even less time than you would with like a therapist. And I'm like, oh, that's even.
Yeah. He had the hour intake, and then I think she was seeing him for, let's even be generous, I think it was a year, but let's say 18 months, and she was seeing him for half an hour a month. So like that's like a total of probably 9 or 10 hours over the course of a year and a half. Like,
yeah,
it's a lot. You guys don't watch Drag Race, but there is a meme that says that's a lot of emotion for safe, when somebody was really upset that they were safe. I'm like, that's a lot of emotion for, the equivalent of one working day of time with someone.
Yeah. And that's some masterful baiting, if he's able to be that manipulative in half an hour a month. I mean, that's
he's so captivating. He really pulls her in.
And
he truly is a master manipulator.
In 30 minutes?
And over Zoom, so he's like infusing pheromones into the camera or something.
I forgot that part. Then it's virtual?
Yeah. She insisted on seeing him in person once, and then gave him a hug that he did not return.
Yeah.
I don't want to, because I feel like this woman must be very mentally unwell, at least in some sense, especially from her live streams where she's talking to her chat GPT like it's her boyfriend or like an actual person, and it's telling her she was using Oracle.
So yeah, her GPT or her AI calls her the Oracle, which, I mean, there's, just at face value, I'm wondering, she was seeing her psychiatrist. sounds like she stopped seeing her psychiatrist. So that makes me wonder, okay, whatever meds you were on, are you still on them? Like, did you stop taking them?
Yeah.
Because you were being followed, now you're not being followed. And maybe there's some romantic delusion happening. It sounds like there's some grandiose kind of divine delusion happening. So a hypothesis I have is, are you not taking your meds now?
I didn't even think about that.
I didn't think about that either. Because I was wondering if she really has ADHD, or if and I don't, not as her doctor, but just in general, is it typical to see a psychiatrist every month for ADHD meds?
I think it is somewhat common. I do think you have to go at least every 3 months, because if you're taking a stimulant medication, it's a controlled substance.
Yeah, that was kind of what I was wondering. I was like, it would make sense to me, like, once you have your dose established, like quarterly, but monthly just kind of sounds like a lot to me for ADHD meds.
Sure.
But
and what is the piece about her being an ADHD coach? Like, what is that component of it?
Oh, I knew I saw something about life coach or something.
She has a life coach ADHD coaching business, and this is a theory I've also seen, that this whole thing is just like trying to get clients.
Oh.
What is an ADHD coach?
Well, this goes into what you were saying, Bess, about maybe her not being on meds anymore. Maybe it's like I got off my ADHD meds and here's how you can too. I don't know that. That's just a guess. But yeah, the fact that she is an ADHD coach, is also pretty much just a red flag to me.
Yeah.
I did not know that part. Yeah. Your theory, because people love to do that, to get on the internet. And even if it is something like you did stop taking medication or something, they love to use their singular experience to be like, I did this and this worked for me, and now you should do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dangerous thing.
Maybe if she was still fake, that's a good point. If it was like a new medication, I was just speculating because I was wondering, especially because, like you were observing, like she does seem to be having some kind of delusion around her own specialness. That was kind of a red flag to me of like, is there something more going on that she was getting treatment for? Which, not that she has to share that, but that would make some of her behavior make more sense if she's was on those meds, stopped seeing her psychiatrist, is now off those meds. It may be a variety of things going on.
Well, it's a really hard thing. I mean, I'm kind of diving off the deep end here, but I was in training. I was still being supervised during 2020, and it was like QAnon was at its like height. And I was talking to my supervisor, and I'm like, 15 years ago, if someone came in my office and said that they believe there's a cabal of lizard people under the Denver airport, like I would have said, you're not allowed to drive. Like you're not allowed to go home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm like, a mandated reporter.
Like, like you are not stable enough to live independently.
Yeah.
Like that, and that's what any provider would have done back then. But now the psychosis is so big that, can you diagnose somebody for believing that? Not really.
Yeah, the line, that's really, I hadn't thought about that, but the line between like being a conspiracy theorist and having something pathological is like way blurrier than it was. That's so interesting. I hadn't thought about that.
And terrifying.
So now this woman has, I'm assuming, at least if you're saying a pocket of the internet is in her corner, that's probably still a really large amount of people
Yeah.
So she's got a pocket where her reality is kind of holding weight with people. And if she does have something diagnosable, I'm sure that's fueling it. But also, you know, if a bunch of people are believing what you're saying.
Well, we did get we got live fact checking in the chat. So apparently she does confirm she has she hasn't shared what they are, but some other diagnoses. And it does say she is still on she says she's still on Vivance.
Vivance is real nice.
Vivance.
Earlier someone said really... that she said his name, city, ethnicity. Oh,
yeah.
Jesus. I didn't realize all
apparently
of that.
He is like a married Muslim man, and then she gave a bunch of details. So, like,
is this in America or Canada?
Bad for this man. I thought it was in America, but
okay,
maybe, who knows? She has a North American accent, so it's it's somewhere. That's really interesting though, because like if you think about some of these cults that develop, like what was that the Mother God one where the lady died and they like were preserving her body or whatever. Anyway, she had like an online cult basically that probably only had like a couple hundred followers, but like she had like a whole compound.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't take that many people to like buy into whatever your thing is for it to get some traction.
Well, and then AI, sycophant mode is pushing a lot of people into psychosis because of how much it's affirming. I mean, there was a guy just recently who thought he had made a scientific breakthrough. He was having a manic episode and he thought he had had a major scientific breakthrough, and AI was telling him like, this sounds right. Like this lines up. Like you're a genius.
This checks out.
And then so he was hospitalized, and then someone came back to the AI, didn't tell them that he'd been hospitalized, and said, as if they were the guy, they said, could anything else be going on with me? And the AI said, you could be having a manic episode.
This is so, and this is just like the tip of the iceberg. Like we're just still so much at the beginning, and that's terrifying.
Especially, I just watched a video the other day from Angela Collier about how all the like tech billionaire bros are getting into physics and are doing what she called vibe physics, where they're using ChatGPT to like solve like perpetual motion machine, whatever impossible physics problem. And then they're like, well, I mean, ChatGPT is telling me it could be real. And it's like, okay, you're a tech billionaire. You presumably understand how bad this technology is currently, and it's still
getting them
validated, like, because it's such an ego boost to have this thing.
Butt
like,
kissing it'll get you.
Yeah,
everybody is susceptible to having their ass kissed.
One would think, but she,
like, who knows what cocktail of things she is or is not taking, or substituting stuff out for natural remedies or something. She sounds like she could be in that camp. I didn't, because I haven't watched any of the lives, and I just saw someone reacting to it, but I thought they said that she was talking to her chat GPT as the therapist. Is she doing that, or just like talking to it as a friend?
The ones I've seen, it's like a friend or like validating her oracle thing. But Bess, I don't know what you saw.
Yeah, the one I saw, she said that her chat GPT or her AI, I don't know if it's chat GPT, spontaneously started calling her the oracle because she's such a visionary, and her she's so transcendent in her thinking. And she asked, like, while she was on a live, she asked the AI to say, can you tell everybody why you call me the oracle? And it was
transcendent.
And this is why our children will not have clean water to drink.
Yeah,
or this, not
a combination of this or the people using it like Google. I'm like, you can literally put that in. Oh dear.
Yeah.
It's so oh god. It's just bad. It's just bad because the amount of things that people it floors me, the amount of things that people will believe. Like it doesn't take much to make people believe things. So I believe, the people on Reddit, because people just take what people say at face value. Like my knew that I was in love with him and he was inappropriate to keep seeing me, and people are like, yep, let me call his shop. What?
Yeah. Meanwhile, I mean, like you were talking about with QAnon, people believing, it's like people literally find it more believable that there are lizard people running the government than like all these billionaires are colluding to restructure the government. And it's like it's like the impulse to be like, there's something going on. Like I get it, but it's just
I used to love a conspiracy, I too bought into some conspiracies. And it's fun, but it goes too far at a point where they take so many things that are so many things would need to be true and need to play out perfectly. And I always think back to Mara, what you said once, you're like, did you work for like a government agency? You're like, I know how slow.
There's no way these people are conspiring on jack shit.
They're not coordinating this mass thing. There's not something under a pizza shop that's trafficking people in DC. Like, because it also just ignores, and this makes me also think back to that video we did on what's a dude, Underground Railroad dude. What was his name?
Oh, Bob the Drag Queen, where he was like debunking that girl's post about.
Oh no, what was that dude? It was related to Mormonism, and he had his Underground Railroad.
Oh, Tim
Ballard.
Yeah, that creep.
Where they're like, yes, human trafficking is a problem, but they like take real things and like exacerbate it. Like, yes, the government is not necessarily for the people or working in our best interests and stuff, but
I'll believe almost anything you tell me that the CIA did in a third world country in the 70s or 80s.
I mean, look, if there was somebody who was a lizard person, I would nominate Alondria, Mark Zuckerberg, Lindsey Graham, and what's that other really ugly one? I mean, there's so many.
Mitch McConnell.
Oh, probably heard you.
And
it's like, yes, but they're just really ugly. Yeah. So they just take things that are like, okay, there could be a little truth and expand on it instead of looking at like what the real truth is. Like, yes, sure, there is trafficking that goes on, but is it the Democrats meeting at a pizza shop in DC in the basement that's doing it? Probably not.
Well, and I've seen. Oh, go ahead, Bess.
Oh, I was gonna change the subject totally. If you wanted to say something else.
I was too. I was gonna say I've seen mental health professionals talking about this situation as like kind of an opportunity to open up and just say like, guys, this you've got to stop looking at TikTok to look for an ADHD coach. Ooh. To try to self-diagnose. Like the crisis is in mental health care access. Affordability, burnout for therapists, like that's where the problems are. The problems in general are not this poor psychiatrist trying to have boundaries with this lady. Like,
yeah. I was gonna say something similar, like along those lines about. So I play this computer game where you colonize Mars. It's like roller coaster tycoon construction management kind of a thing, but you like colonize, you build a Mars colony.
What is it called?
It's called Surviving Mars. It's so fun. It's so detailed. You have to like calculate how many wind turbines you need for your dome and how much power they get during a windstorm versus when it's calm. And anyway,
I need that.
if you don't keep your colonists, so you can look at the domes and you can look at the colonists, like happiness levels and satisfaction levels, just like overall, like what kind of services you've given them, what kind of recreation you've given them, how much you're making them work. And it calculates their happiness and satisfaction based on what you've set up for them. And if their satisfaction and happiness gets too low, you start to get renegades who are spreading misinformation and starting to be delusional and starting to believe in conspiracies. And like, it's the game makes it very clear that like, if you don't like treat your people well, this is what will cause these kind of factions to form in your society.
Yeah.
And I it's so analogous and it's so real that we are not cultivating a society where people are thriving and where people have enough cognitive energy for all the things that are required of them. We're not cultivating a world where people can pay attention. We're not cultivating a world where people can get enough rest. Like, it is true that American society is not creating a space for mental health to flourish. But what is the sad thing? The sad thing to me about it, particularly to see women choosing to diagnose themselves as the problem rather than the society as the problem, right? Like, to say that I have a disorder, I have something wrong with me, and not to look around and say, you're asking me to work and take care of my kids and do all the chores, like, and run all of the errands. Like, nobody could handle this cognitive load.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't an acceptable thing to ask of me.
Anyway.
It's like,
it's like, honey, you don't have ADHD. You have stress because you have a husband who's not doing anything to help you.
You're overwhelmed.
Yeah, like, you're overwhelmed, or like, of course you have anxiety because, you're at home with the kids and your husband's job is doing layoffs. Like, that's that doesn't mean you're neuroatypical. Like, that's a very normal, rational thing to have anxiety about.
Yeah.
There's so much like, because you're exactly, or this whole, I've seen it in or heard it over various TikToks or podcasts or whatever, just how much we've tried to optimize. Everything's always been like, how can we get, the myth of multitasking? How can we get more done in one day? What do you do? You need to wake up at 4 a.m. if you're not getting what you're being able to get. How do you have a balance when, like, basically it's impossible to always have a balance if you're working full time, if you have kids, if you want to pursue your hobbies, all these things. Like, something's always gonna fall to the wayside. But like, that's been our culture, to be like more and more efficient so you can do more. It's like, what we really should be doing is slowing down. But everything, like, no, more. We got email and we could take computers home. You can work longer. You can be available more. It's like, there's valid. I've always had anxiety and then depression, but there's so many people, and I've seen mental health professionals online being like, there's a lot of ailment or mental health that could be, I can't help my clients with because they need money. Like, at the end of the day, it's capitalism, or like they need money. Nothing, no techniques, no mindfulness. All these things cannot replace when you need money, when you need care, or
well, it's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Like, I'm not sure how like scientific that is, but just like, it's a good metaphor of just like, if you don't have secure access to food, shelter, like basic needs met, basic family stability, like, if that's not taken care of course you're not being like your higher self.
Yeah.
Like, how can you be? Like, you it's like, I don't have enough space to not be anxious because I don't know where I'm going to sleep tonight. You know what I mean? Like,
like kids being hungry in school. Like, they can't sit still or focus. They're hungry. They're hungry. But everything's always, no, it's work harder, longer, more, or something, instead of all the things you said. And don't even bring in the incompetent husbands or the grown children some of these people have to deal with. I'm like, oh my
God. I mean, anecdotally, there are a lot of women who come in thinking they have ADHD when they're having marital difficulties. And I that is an interesting trend to me, because it's making me wonder, like, what is your husband saying to you about what you should be able to do? And like, what are his expectations of you that you're not meeting?
Yeah.
And also, like, social psychology does show us that when a man has a problem, or when someone who's socialized as a man has a problem, he'll blame an external factor. And when someone who's socialized as a woman has a problem, she's far more likely to attribute it to an internal problem.
Yep.
And our whole economy runs on convincing women that things are wrong with them. I mean, that's what wellness is just, you need one more thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
If you just had XYZ, you'd be the perfect mom. Be the perfect something. And it's like, actually, we need less and more. And it's more things that are not tangible. I mean, money, yes, but time and
connection,
childcare to be affordable, and walkable cities, and so you have community or the village that's non-existent for various reasons, but we're all spread out. Or burnt out from working, and then you miss out on the connection you really want to have because you're like, I've been talking to people all day. Because that happened to me. And I remember my therapist being like, I'm sorry to tell you this, but you do have to leave the house. Because I would work all day from home, talking to people, and I'm like, I don't want to talk. She's like, I'm sorry, you need to get out of the house. Like, I don't want to. But everything, it just makes me sad. And so it makes sense that people turn, I think, so much mental health, physical, looking for money. Like, you can put MLMs in this, multi-level marketing schemes, not man love man. I know social media, and somebody gives you a quirky, quippy thing, or it brings you in, you're like, this, instead of being like, I could do all of these things, or it could be all these other problems, it must just be this one solution, and I just can buy into this. Believe what this person is saying. That's easier than being like, well, actually, what I need to be doing is going to bed earlier every night. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, and I wonder, like, because I know there's the two I see a lot of on TikTok are autism and ADHD that people are self-diagnosing with, or I see people like advertising a book that they've written about it or what, like that. Just those are the two I see a lot. And like, we talked a little bit about the ADHD stuff, but the autism stuff too, like, especially in women, I see talking about it. Like, I wonder how much of it is just like a lack of complete conformity to social norms about how women are supposed to behave. And then like pathologizing that in yourself of like, that means I'm neuroatypical. And it's like, well, maybe that's just your personality. Like, and that's that. Like, that doesn't, I don't know. And I mean, it's like, I don't want to just, I know autism is like a very nuanced and multifaceted topic, but it's just interesting. It's like the ableism of like how people, I feel like, are projecting things onto the label of autism that is troubling. And then also like the flip side of it is also sad to me, because I'm like, I think sometimes this is just like a lack of self-acceptance and like a willingness to say like, I'm just not like the typical whatever, and that's okay.
Autism is really tricky because we do know that we've been underdiagnosing females. And we don't even have research really for anyone who's non-binary, genderqueer, gender non-conforming. Like we don't
You mean
have that
we're
kind
not
of
doing studies on people aside from white men?
not
White
quite.
cis men?
I'm shocked.
So it is, I mean, we are aware scientifically that we've been underdiagnosing females, and we are aware too that females camouflage their symptoms.
Mhm.
And they learn how to mimic social cues. So it is. I mean, it is tricky. But it's made even trickier when now every female who has any kind of thing they're uncomfortable with is like, this narrative of autism makes me feel so good, and now I have this external reason to explain this thing about myself, and it muddies the water even more when someone with a personality disorder or somebody who has committed a serious crime or somebody who doesn't have a lot of friends can kind of put I remember that there are kind of diagnoses du jour that come in and out through the years. So about 20 years ago, it was bipolar, and we're still untangling that knot. When I was in grad school, it was PTSD. And everybody was talking about, everybody has some form of trauma. Everybody has PTSD, at least a little. And I was
really
my late yeah.
People thought, wow,
it was a really prominent idea that everybody has some form of trauma.
I mean,
and
that that makes sense to me, like some kind of trauma, because that just seems like the human experience. But for it to be severe enough for everyone to have a little PTSD is kind of, anyway, that just speaks to.
Yeah. So I mean, you remember this, Frankie. I was in my late 20s. I wasn't doing great on the dating scene. I was kind of awkward. And I decided it sounded a lot sexier to say that I was traumatized and that I had PTSD rather than I was just awkward with men and I didn't know how to talk to them. And I went to my therapist and I said, I gave her the whole thing about like, I have PTSD. Here's what it is. Here's why I can't date. I'm traumatized. And thank heavens, my therapist had the wherewithal to say, like, I don't think so.
Like, actually,
with love.
No.
I don't think so, honey.
That's so interesting about the PTSD part.
But the good news is that you can learn how to talk to men. That is a skill that can be learned. And
I think we can say that with a lot of things. Like, you can be awkward and it's not a I feel like we have a tendency, just as people, we love a label. Like I was talking to Angela about this earlier because I read a book about this taxonomist and she was talking about taxonomy and like we love to label like what with mental health, with gender, with like, what are you? What are your things, your tags, your hash? Like it's almost but I mean, because I've probably said it in joking or whatever, because people will be like, oh, is that just, or is that that's my tism, a touch of the tism, and I'm sure that's problematic. But it is, because sometimes people would be like, 10 signs you have undiagnosed autism, or undiagnosed ADHD. I'm like, wait, do I? And no, I see an actual real professional, and that does not seem to be the case. But a lot of people, I don't know, maybe like you said, if you do things outside what we think of as the norm, even some things, or even just if you have like texture issues like I do, that still does not mean just that is autism.
That's and I think that the clinical significance piece is tough for people, because I hear a lot is I hate when tags are in my shirt. And it's like, well, nobody likes a tag in their shirt. I mean, there's a lot of people that can't stand that. I mean, there's a lot of people that rip them out. And unless you can't go to work because there's a tag in your shirt, or unless you're getting in fights with your spouse because they keep buying you shirts with tags in them, like that's a clinically significant issue if tags in a shirt are impacting your life. I mean, that's a clinically significant symptom. But just not liking tags in your shirt is not causing a problem in your life.
This is a good example, because I think OCD is one that we do use kind of flippantly. I mean,
it's casual.
But to your point, Bess, of like, there's a difference between I'm late to work every day because I have to do XYZ cleaning routine, and I am really invested in having a clean house, and that can create some friction in relationships sometimes. And like, that's a hard, because like that could be genuinely a problem for you if it's creating friction. And like, that probably would be a good thing to see a therapist about, of like, hey, what does it look like to like have less rigidity around some of your preferences or whatever. But that doesn't necessarily mean you have that as a diagnosis. And that, to our point about like access, that's part of the problem, is that like, I think people feel like they can't get care unless they have a label, or like, and maybe they can't sometimes for like insurance purposes or whatever. Like, people really want the label, and it's like, sometimes I think it's an access thing, and sometimes I think people don't feel entitled to take up space about problems they're having unless they have like a diagnosis. And it's like, you can just take up space, of like, in your example, Bess, of like, hey, I have a problem feeling awkward talking to men, and that's something that is legitimate for me to have distress about and want to fix,
and want to talk to a therapist. So I'm married today because I learned how to talk to men.
Because I think some things, it's like, well, maybe that's not serious enough for therapy or something. But I even had, and I'm sure a lot of us have done the whole thing with like OCD, because I'm just very particular about cleaning. And there are some things that like in therapy we tied to like my upbringing, because it was becoming like my husband would do something and I'm like, that's not perfect thing, but it wasn't, so I still had an issue that I had to work through, but that didn't make it that. But I wanted to, Aaron had 2 comments, and I just,
I thought,
which I think is important. And obviously these are just generalizations, and this is not about everybody.
Oh, totally.
So I do think there's people who may seriously, and especially also with, if you're a millennial or older, so those people weren't being diagnosed as a kid. And so maybe now you're really like, oh, wow, this will explain all of these things across my life. And then I do think there are just some people who are like, oh, these couple of things sound like it could be me, and I want a label. But so I don't want to, come across like I don't think anyone here is trying to downplay that underrepresented.
I mean,
No, I think the reason I feel actually so strongly about being precise about diagnosis is for the underrepresented. I feel really strongly that autism doesn't need to become a trendy thing, and that you shouldn't say you have it if a doctor hasn't told you that you have it, because it's a serious condition and it affects families profoundly. And it makes, I really want to clear out the pipelines so that people who do have autism can get the support that they need. And if somebody can get diagnosed with autism when they're 2 years old, and they can get treatment in that critical window, it can change your life. I mean, it can truly alter the course of your life in a profound way. But there are people who are not getting diagnosed because they're sitting on a wait list for 3 years waiting to be assessed. And then a lot of people in front of them are people who just want to be personally validated, and they're not having any meaningful functional difficulties. And that can be tough for me to see.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like, it's like we basically have a limited pool of mental health resources. And that to me is really my biggest, like, that's the foundational issue. Because like in an ideal world, people who are looking for personal validation would be able to get it, because I do think that it can be helpful and give people like a narrative for themselves, which I think is valuable. But the problem is we have such limited resources, at least in America. It's like, I don't know. I'll just speak for like affluent white women, who are a lot of the people I see in some of these like wellness type trends, including mental health trends. I'm like, we're taking a lot of space that maybe we don't need to take. Like, you know.
So limited. And then if you can, so limited in practitioners already. And then especially if you are whatever marginalization or multiple, you may not feel safe with all practitioners. So then that's going to narrow the field. And then don't let it get to how we play with insurance, because then you're like, oh, I found they don't take my insurance, so I could pay $150 a session. So yeah, it's a big mess. The lack of access and not enough.
Yeah. And I mean, speaking as an affluent white woman, like a lot of affluent white women are doing pretty well. Like they're doing okay. And that's not to say that they shouldn't get therapy, they shouldn't get the support they need, but the way that white women center themselves in these discourses sometimes feels frustrating.
Well, I mean, I'll just say from my opinion as somebody not in the field, as an affluent white woman, I think honestly it's like a diversion from being able to experience the marginalization they have as a woman, because they are more in love with their whiteness than they are with their marginalization as a woman. And it's like, I think a lot of your issues would be helped by maybe interrogating your relationship to the white man in your life. If you're married to a man.
There's a sociological phenomenon that's written about in the literature called a race to the margins, or sometimes it's called a race to innocence. And it's the phenomenon of white women kind of racing to claim marginalized titles or marginalized identities as a way to avoid kind of reckoning with white privilege, or to reckon with their identity as the oppressor.
Oh, I'm going to keep that term, because I feel like that, especially you see that on social media, and especially it can happen a lot. I feel like in like leftist spaces where someone else, maybe that's a Black person or whatever, is a person of color, is saying, hey, this thing you said may be harmful, or blah, 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 this isn't helpful. And they're like, hey, okay, I'm neurodivergent. I have I'm like, okay, I have autism. Like, but those cannot be your defenses. And some people but I've heard people say that, like, there's been like a joke, and it's like all of your marginalizations, because you're like, all of these and my mental illness is just as hard as you being a Black man in America. And it's like,
okay.
Well, so that phrase is definitely spot on.
And by taking that much space, like Erin's talking about, of like the underrepresentation even of studies of like let's not even talk about like the access issue, even just the studying of people who are not white, who are not cis, who are not whatever, for some of these diagnoses is like really frustrating. I mean, that's true across the board in terms, but like this narrative of like being labeled a troublemaker, I wonder if this would even still happen today. It probably would, because Or
there's a lot of kids who were like, they couldn't sit still, or they were the whatever one in class. And I remember back in my day, it was like the bad kids were on Ritalin. Like you would hear about that, but like there really wasn't conversations of ADD or ADHD. And but you know, so I'm sure there are a lot of people who hear about these things and are like, wow, those were the problems I experienced when I was younger in class, and why I couldn't focus, and why because I've also heard, like, I was with my family a couple weekends ago and they're like, everybody's just autistic these days. And I'm like, well, let's like saying it like a negative, but I'm like, well, okay, well, more people are being diagnosed. That doesn't 100%. Mean that these are just like made up. And you know, because they were talking about ratios of IEPs, a lot of them are in schools and stuff. And I'm like, okay, but this is not just made up things. More people are having access. That's a good thing.
Sure. That's a good thing. The same way that it's like, oh, well, this transgender thing is such a trend. And it's like, well, no, trans people have always existed. They just literally were like killed if they tried to tell you about it.
They had to hide.
Yeah.
I mean, even still today. And this is a great comment. I think there are likely many more legitimate diagnosable people than we know, because they are being drowned out by those who can pay for access.
Yes.
Because you can pay, you know, especially private insurance or whatever, to be like, this one thing, and get, you know, jumped in front of someone who may have to have it subsidized through Medicaid or Medicare. I can't forget which one.
Yes, but that is, because if you can pay for access, you can get in front of a mental health professional much faster. And there is an undeniable pressure that if someone is paying you cash, there is an undeniable pressure to give them the results that they want.
Yeah.
That is just real. And a lot of really ethical and competent psychologists actually don't even go into private practice, because there is an undeniable pressure to go along with your patient's narrative when you're being paid cash.
Ooh, I believe it though.
Yeah. And it's tough. It feels really bad when someone pays you a lot of money and then you tell them no. It feels awful. It's why I stopped doing them.
Yeah. You're like, no, I am. You're like, no, like all of them, no.
And it gets, I like this comment from Beth. I've been starring a couple of them, but talking about like, hey, if you claim a diagnosis, people cut you slack. If you get angry about a shirt label, people say you're weird and or unreasonable. And it's like, I think people are looking, like, I think that's something like, as a society, we could improve upon, because like, I think a lot of times people want the diagnosis for validation. And it's like, instead of needing it from a diagnosis, like, what a wonderful world it would be if it's just like, hey,
I just don't like that.
Yeah, you don't like that? I'm not going to be an asshole to you about, you know.
Yeah, just accept it. Like,
something you don't want to do.
I don't like wet socks, okay? I don't like certain things because it's mushy, and that's that. Just accept it. Don't. But I understand someone's need to be like, okay, well, if I can say, well, I'm autistic, or I have this, or I have ADHD, that's why I'm always late. No, maybe you don't have time blindness and you're just inconsiderate.
Yeah, but I mean, that's possible.
It is possible.
Like, this is not, or like, hey, maybe the internal work is like, why is being on time not a priority to me?
Yes.
And that could be an interesting question to explore. Like,
I love accepting how unique and quirky we are as humans. Yes, we have so much, like, we have both pushed against so much, and there's still so many things we still are like, okay, well, you can be unique in that way, but not this way. And I mean, we still see that with, and I think it's changed, but the expectation of marriage and heteronormativity and having children. And so then, I mean, those things are different compared to a tag or whatever, but still, I think some things are just like, okay, what's wrong with you? And people get defensive. Like,
I really liked Shelf of Many Genres comment that something I do really like about the neurodivergent movement that I see on social media is the idea that, like, there are all different types of brains, there are all different types of styles of being in the world, and people have different preferences, and like, we're all valid, and And even people who aren't succeeding in the traditional sort of education, job, climb the corporate ladder pipeline, like they're smart in different ways. And if our society was structured differently, more people's gifts would be able to be recognized.
Totally.
And all of that I love. Where I diverge is I do think the terms ADHD and autism need to be because there are people who are not living a normal life or graduating from high school or getting driver's licenses. There are people who have the intelligence to get a doctorate that are working a maintenance job, right? Like I think those are some kind of really serious limitations that some affluent white women have no context for.
Yeah.
And I think those words need to be reserved for those kinds of cases.
Yeah, I agree. But especially about our society structure, because it's just like, if you don't, you're not working or not working full time or not whatever. If you're lazy or, working hard enough. And it's like, some people like to be busy and to work and to do a thing, just like the whole work from home versus office. Like, some people do like to be in an office. They like to
I work with some of these people. They'll be there on 3:00 on a Friday. I'm on a call with them and I see them. I'm like, what are you doing in there? And they're like, I like to come into the office. And I'm like,
put on an outfit, go into the office. She wants to yap with people and come back.
That's where they focus best or whatever.
Yes.
I mean, different.
Some people are like, I can't separate work as much as home. But then there's people who do well at home. And I just feel like we just need different things for different people. Just like their whole, if we had universal basic income, nobody would want to work. False.
No.
There are so many jobs that I'm like some people enjoy being a barista or a bartender or just stocking things at a store, but people don't go, but you're like, I can't live off of that. So I'm chasing this bigger thing. I would love something literally so simple like that or data entry, but that's not going to be because of AI, where you can just be like, I just want to do a little job, I listen to a little audiobook, and I go home.
Yeah.
Isn't chasing I want to be a doctor or a lawyer. I need to be. Some people just I like a little task that gets me out of the house or gets me, to do a thing that focuses my mind for a little bit of time. But our society is at the same time, everybody needs to be a CEO, but
it's I'm very focused on trying to get to at least semi-retirement. And it's basically I'm trying to save to create universal basic income. Cause it's I don't see myself doing nothing at that point. I see myself cat sitting or, volunteering or whatever, but it's it's not reality yet.
This is a little bit similar, a little bit different, but I think another thing is that people don't realize how much everyone is faking it. I'll hear people say, they'll come in and say I couldn't concentrate in a 1-hour work meeting. And I'm like, let me tell you something, honey. Nobody was listening in that meeting. Nobody. No one. You think you're the only one? Nobody knew what the hell that meeting was about. Because the average attention span of a human brain is 7 minutes. And our entire life is structured around 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour things. Mm-hmm. And everybody is just pretending to pay attention.
Yeah.
That's how the world works.
Yes, I'm like, oh.
Yeah. People are pretending to be busy at work. They're pretending their marriages are going well. They're pretending they have a full social calendar. They're pretending.
And social media just exacerbates that, because you see and you're like, wow, look at that perfect person. And their perfect job and their perfect, and I've done that, relationship, their perfect trip. And then years later they say something. This made me think of van life accounts who post look at my beautiful van and perfect thing. And this one girl quit and she was like, I was miserable. I was tired of trying to find somewhere to park.
She's shitting in, park bathrooms 365 days a year.
Like always driving around, and I'm like, yeah, but if you look at her thing, it was just like nothing but sunshine and roses. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it creates a false expectation of what normal is.
Yeah. I mean, it's on it kind of, the analogy I've been cooking here is when I was growing up, it was like really impolite to talk about any food accommodations you needed. Like even being a vegetarian was seen as like pretty out there and something you would never tell your host if you were going to go over to their house. And then when I lived in Vancouver, it was so radically normalized to have a dinner party and be like, okay, celiacs people, this is gluten-free. Nut allergy people, this was prepared in a zone without nuts. Egg and dairy allergies, you're over here. Like, it was just such an environment of like, every event I went to was like radically inclusive of every possible dietary accommodation. And yeah, like, was it a little more work? Of course it was. But like, the priority was like, hey, everybody should be able to come and eat and partake without having to worry about like dying or having the shits later. So it's like, I don't know. I feel like if that was the mentality we brought to a lot of these things of just like, it's not a big deal. We're just different. And that's okay.
Yeah. But they're like, no, everyone come in at this time, do this thing. Just like everybody start work at the same time. Everyone, there's still too much uniformity they expect for just people, a melting pot of people. Not even, I mean, you don't even need to get into ethnicities. Just like people are just going to be different. Same people in the same family are going to be different. And if I don't know if that works under capitalism. Probably not. But we've been dancing around it, but really this is the beginning of our pitch to you. So please come join our anarcho-socialist movement. This is just like all of this. I mean, we're making this up. Okay. We're making all this economy stuff up. And it's just like, I forgot what book I read. I think it was called not How to Do Nothing. Was that it?
Yeah, I've heard that too. It was good.
By Celeste.
Oh no, that's the
Do Nothing. There were some books with some overlapping title, but she was talking about how years ago, I think 70s or 80s, that they were expecting, okay, with the growth of technology, we'll be working a lot less, shorter weeks, or maybe some people are working seasonally, or some people work this part of the year, other part of the year. Like, there's so many things we could do. And they're like, no, let's do this 40 plus hours a week for the majority of the year.
Well, and like, what's also a big fat bummer, I feel like this is just really, I thought we were going to be clowning on grifters more, but this has gotten serious, and that's okay. It's good combo. But like if you look back at like 19th century literature, like looking forward to like the utopian future from the Industrial Revolution, almost all of them were envisioning worlds where we were not working.
Yeah.
And it's like, people, we have lost the plot. The whole point of this whole technology was not for us to work more or be more productive. It was for us to work less. And yet, here we are in this workaholic hellscape.
I mean, to throw in a dunk on a grifter, I would like to dunk on Mel Robbins really quickly, because I just listened to the If Books Could Kill podcast episode on the Let Them Theory book by Mel Robbins that she stole from somebody else's poem, but I just was like,
I did not know that part.
There was another person, I forget, I think it was a Cassie something, who wrote this whole for word what Mel Robbins was like. It was basically like, if somebody doesn't want to text you back, let them. If blah blah blah, like basically saying you can't control the people. But yeah, it was a poem by this person, and then she took it and made it her book or whatever. But just they're going through it and saying how like sort of some of it's fine, but like it really could have been like an essay, which I feel that about a lot of books. It could have been an essay and not an entire book is padded out. But it's just like, I just feel like we're so desperate for like, under capitalism, grifters thrive because people are desperate for a quick fix. All my relationships, if something's not working out, the let them theory is speaking to me, or these things aren't working out. Maybe I put this label on it and it'll fix it. Or like we just want a quick fix to everything, when it's like, well, if we had a different society, probably could solve a lot of things.
I'm so tired, so I need this ginseng energy shot or whatever. It's just like,
I've been missing out on these boosted greens. That's my quick, because I don't, again, we don't have enough time. I don't have enough time to eat enough vegetables, or I can't. Now, if you can buy a powdered green, you can afford vegetables. But, trying to optimize, I'll just drink my greens instead of eating them while I walk on the treadmill while I'm working. And I'm an optimized human being. And it's like, are you?
Yeah.
Yes.
The grind set is killing us all.
Yeah. Because they're all the same thing. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Like if your basic needs are met, you have safe housing, and yes, a simple article. Literally, they're just the same thing repackaged. If you didn't have to worry about, like, how many people wouldn't have anxiety if you weren't worried about your rent going up? Or right now with all the layoffs, like it seems like every other week somebody's like, get ready with me to get laid off,
or you or your family being kidnapped and deported.
Yeah, that too. And don't add in climate crises. And
I am about to read a book called Surviving Climate Anxiety. I will report back, because you both know I spend a lot of my like future thinking being like, where will be habitable in 20 years? And I don't know how much of that is reasonable. So I'm hoping that this book by Dr. whatever his name is will help me level set on how much I should be worried about that.
Because I was walking outside today. I'm like, I must get north. This is miserable down here. And sort of climate related, I just watched the recent doc. It's like 5 episodes on Hulu about Hurricane Katrina. And of course, that happened in 2005.
Oh, I've seen people reacting to that.
It made me so mad. But part of it is, of course, they rebuilt the levees afterward. But after they finished, sorry, spoiler to anybody, they put in a note that like,
to Katrina, spoiler warning, Katrina?
No, for the documentary. They didn't take note. They didn't plan for climate change and how the sea levels will rise. So these levees in 50 to 70 years it's probably going to fail again, if not before. Right. And I was like, God damn it.
Yeah. I mean, the levees, they knew. I remember so vividly, because I remember when Katrina happened, being in my dorm, watching it and flashing back to this moment in middle school. For those of you in Knoxville, I was in the back seat on the bridge over I-40 on Lovell Road. And my dad was saying there'd been some hurricane. He was like, oh yeah, anybody who's paying attention knows that New Orleans is going to be completely underwater the next time they get hit directly. And that had been like 5 or 6 years before. And that was a moment of like intense cognitive, like, we knew that this was a problem.
Yeah.
And we did nothing.
Yeah. And they talked about how like their swamp and, wetlands were natural, used to be natural, like would help with the flooding, because all of the trees, there's cypress trees and stuff, would slow down the water. But of course, with like oil and gas tearing a bunch of those down, and trees dying. So of course, then they didn't have the natural protection. And I was like, but yeah. So I was just like, God,
this is why I need my climate anxiety book. Cause I'm just like,
yes. So keep me posted, please. As you're reading that, I too would like to know.
Yeah, give us the highlights.
Yeah, I will report back. Fun fact, this is not directly related, but just an example of America destroying its natural resources. Did you know that the Mississippi used to have an entire, I forget what it's even called, but it was basically like this really densely packed in lumber ball on the Mississippi next to Arkansas?
I didn't know that.
And there was like
just a ball of like trees?
Well, like all of the debris that had come, I guess, from this is embarrassing. Does the Mississippi flow up or down? I think it flows down, right? Okay.
Yeah, into the Atlantic.
Yeah, so it had like over thousands of years, like all of these like fallen trees that had accumulated in the river had become its own like ecosystem. And there was an entire group of indigenous people who lived on it and like made all this money because they were the only indigenous people who knew how to navigate it. So they would be like traders between groups of people on either side of the Mississippi. And like it was providing all this like natural like river management because of that. And then the white people came and made the move and dismantled all of it. So now it's gone, and now the Mississippi is worse for everyone.
Well,
anyway, fun fact.
How lovely.
Not a fun fact, I guess a depressing fact, but I was like, what? Like, I was just even trying to imagine like how densely filled with trees it would have to be for that to like.
Yeah, I know. Be like a landmass.
Yeah. Like, I guess.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Anyway.
Man.
Yes, the Great Raft.
Oh.
Yes, and I also watched me and Shelf of Many Genres apparently watched the same video because I was like, this is fascinating.
Right there.
Well, this was not very well, I don't know. I feel like this was really interesting. I enjoyed this conversation.
Yes.
Yeah.
We didn't clown on grifters as much, but
there's another time we can do that.
They'll be around.
The favorite mental health grifter they would like to insult before we leave?
Favorite mental health grifter. Gosh.
No. I just would like to say that I don't trust Jay Shetty. I don't know if he's necessarily mental health, but he comes up and I feel something uneasy about him and I'm waiting for something to be said and I'll be like, I was right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mel Robbins can suck it.
There's like a Therapy Jeff guy on TikTok and he's always like, 5 things you should tell your partner.
Yes.
6 ways to know. And it really grinds my gears to have mental health distilled down into 5 things. I've thought about reporting him to his licensing board, honestly.
He's like, what is the algorithm like? And that's what because I definitely know exactly who you're talking about. And I was like, okay.
He drives me crazy.
Mind, I know they wouldn't be able to tell this as you type the email, but in my mind, you would be wearing like glasses with a fake nose and mustache while you type the email, being like, you didn't hear it from me, but look at this victim.
Yeah.
There's so many out there.
This was the one that came to mind for me because I feel like he is a grifter who has somehow conned his way into actually being in charge of people's health.
Terrifying. Terrifying things.
Yeah.
That he's taking away.
Yeah. When I listened to the Anxious Generation from If Books Could Kill, I listened to that today on your recommendation. They mentioned that he is trying to compile a list of everybody who has autism. And he's also trying to compile a list of everybody who's on any kind of mental health medicine. And that is really, really scary.
Yeah. Yep. That episode. I mean, I think those two hosts are really funny together.
They are very funny.
I listened to, is it Mike on Maintenance Phase?
Yes.
But a lot of the things in that book, it's like, okay, these could be true, but he has like either one shoddy, what am I trying to say? Research or one study or not, or he just says a thing and he's like, I'm just like, how do people just get to publish? They just get to publish anything, huh? You don't have to. But about earlier, talking about like research and like just lack of research even back or lack of research in general outside of like cis white men. It was already bad. And now with the government we have, like any kind of research for anything, I'm like, it's going to get worse.
Yeah.
And it was already bad. Are they even going to research for the white men's? They're
literally defunding anything having to do with like women.
Like science?
Like not even
vaccine?
I know. Anyway, I'm going to choose to just make fun of him for now, even though he kind of scares me. But it is like, I think, a very American story that he's like a Nepo baby who rode conspiracy theoryism
to the white
into an actual like position of power.
Yeah.
I would like fluoride in my water. Thank you.
Very thankful. I actually just paid the dentist to put more fluoride on my teeth, so
I'm going on Monday. I'm gonna put that on.
I hadn't done it in a while, and they had like a little like I didn't have to do the trays. It was just like a little.
Yeah, they just rub it on.
Yeah. I mean, it tasted like ass afterwards, but
yeah.
My teeth are stronger now. Then they said they'd look real good. Well, the cats are prowling behind me as if to remind me that they owe me food. Now, you saw Bess's cat. If they had not been fed, Bess would not be sitting.
No.
They would be mauling her face.
They would have,
We cannot have that.
They would have knocked the computer off the table a long time ago.
They would be holding her hostage.
That's right.
I love it.
Well,
this is a wonderful chat.
Definitely. Thank you very much for having me, Watoot.
Thank you for joining us as an actual educated person.
Yes.
Totally.
We just play ones on the internet.
We just
our next topic, I think we've been talking about doing some case updates, the cases that we're covering as the journalists.
Yes, we are. As professionals.
Yes, as professionals. We may do a cave episode because I've been watching some cave content and I definitely have some opinions now.
My God.
I'll just say that of the boats, mountains, and now caves, rabbit holes I've been down, these cave people are by far the craziest.
Damn.
People,
it makes no
talk about pathologizing someone. I legitimately am just like, do you have suicidal ideation? Is that what's going on here? Like, what is happening?
I'm gonna go out in a big way. Ew, I don't get it.
I don't know. Anyway, I hope they have a friend in their life who will ask them if they're doing okay. But anyway, so we might talk about caves. You'll see. You'll find out when we do.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
It's always a surprise.
Well, thank you, ladies. It was lovely hanging out. And
thanks.
We'll catch y'all later.
Bye.
Bye.